Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another sunset safari. As I said just a moment ago, it's particularly windy. Now, my name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Senzo. There he is. And, well, hopefully we're going to find all sorts of wonderful things. Apologies for the slight late start. Gremlins seem to have started attacking us. I had a stern talking to them, and hopefully that'll be the end of them for the rest. And it's very good to be back. I've had a wonderful holiday, and perhaps this is your first time watching Safari Live. Maybe you've stumbled across our site, which is fantastic. Now, this is live and interactive. It's happening right now in the heart of South Africa. Well, not quite the heart, the northeastern corner, in the Sabi Sand Private Game Reserve, which is open to the Kruger National Park. So hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you'd like to ask us any questions. But enough about me. One of my favorite animals in the entire world has welcomed me back after a long journey in the concrete jungle. Hello, warthogs. Aren't they great? They're one of the more comical creatures out here in the bush, and it's just there. You should see him quite easily. No long grass anymore, which is another surprise. I actually cannot believe it, how the vegetation has changed. Now, he hasn't lifted his head just yet. It's quite difficult to say, but it looks like he's got that sort of swollen face that's quite typical with Mfumo. And also his mane doesn't seem to be very dark. Now, we know Tinyo has got quite a dark mane, and so does Nsuku and Nena. So I wonder if it isn't Mfumo. The last time I saw him, he was battered up and bruised. So it's quite difficult to tell from this angle, but you're welcome to help me out. You're all so great, of course, at identifying the cats. You can hashtag Safari Live with who you think it may be. But very windy, you can see, and as Tristan says, this wind is definitely going to have an effect on the animal's behavior, but it should work in the favor of the predators today. So hopefully, even though it is quite warm, we might see some action. Maybe they'll get up and on the move. All the herbivores and things are going to be hiding away. They won't be out in the open. They'll be hanging around on the drainage lines, not just for food again, but for shelter. And I think that the Mulwati would be a very, very good place for the various predators to hunt today. Under on his chest, and that's an area that we can't see at the moment. But look at that beautiful tawny color. Ah. Cool, thanks, Chantal. Are we live again? Are we still live? Okay, sorry about that, everybody. It seems as though what's happening today is it is gremlins. However, I'm not surprised as to the gremlins that are attacking us. It's the wind gremlins. So you get different subspecies of gremlins out here. Sometimes they're rain gremlins, but the wind gremlins are particularly the worst ones. So I do apologize. It might happen throughout the day. Hopefully, the wind has been blowing for most of the day, so it should start to die out. But there is a big cold front that has hit South Africa at the moment, and I think we're going to feel the sort of force of it by tomorrow. There's already an icy feeling in the wind. Yesterday was a hot berg wind, and now it's starting to change. So I think it's going to be exceptionally cold tomorrow morning. My mum said that at about 9-10 o'clock today, it was about 7 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's really, really cold for so late in the morning. Tristan and I and Senzo and Seb might have to get all wrapped up. That's actually quite funny. I've just realized that both of us now, we're the TS or the ST team. Both of us. It's quite cool. No more trailer. We're changing our names. Chantal, has there been any confirmation as to if this is Mfumo? I know it's a very difficult angle for us to, of course, identify 100%. Okay. So you can help me guess. But he's probably going to relax. He obviously wasn't here this morning, so he's been moving around throughout the day. Or maybe just after game drive, or perhaps he was just laying in the shade of a tree somewhere and decided to come down for a drink. And the spot that he's laying is actually quite a nice area. He's sort of sheltered. Well, his mane is blowing quite a bit, but I think it's a fairly good spot, laying quite low to the ground. I'm trying to think. I probably would have chosen a better spot to lay, though. snazzy. You said something about him being a strawberry blonde. Perhaps he is the ginger of the lions if it is informal. Like I said, he never sort of... I don't know what I'm trying to say. The wind is also taking my words away. But I don't think he's going to have a particularly dark mane like the rest of the coalition members have. But again, it could be just because he's quite young, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer. You know, it's like with us as humans. We don't all mature at this exact same age, and the same thing goes for lions. You might find that some mature quicker than others. Maybe some of their manes take a little bit longer to grow too. Remember, Mfumo was quite big in body size. If it is him, I could be completely mistaken. So we shall just refer to him as one of the Birmingham boys until we can figure out who he is. It'd be quite nice if he does sit up. Craig, you say that it's Mufasa. Well, I wish. You know, then we need a deep voice. What does Mufasa say? Come on, Senzo, give us a line. The line, okay, Senzo can't think of a Mufasa line, and neither can I. But if Chantal or Alice think of one, they can tell me, and then I'll try and do it. And wasn't it Earl James Jones that was the voice of Mufasa? Oh my gosh, Chantal, you're fantastic. Everything the light touches is our kingdom, Simba. There we go. Right, for those of you who have only just joined us for the first time, I'm a little bit silly, so you're going to have to put up with me, I'm afraid. You just told me to be quiet, and I promise I'll be quiet. Oh, come on, lion, this is perfect hunting condition. I saw some zebras not too far away from here that I think you would find particularly tasty. And I think that's probably the way that he's going to go. And the wind is blowing southeasterly today, so that's quite nice. So essentially, he's directly downwind from all those warthogs, from those zebra. I'm sure there'll be kudu moving in and out of the thickets too, and that's going to be great for him. So once he decides to wake up, hopefully he'll go in a northerly direction from where he is now, and not particularly far. I reckon as the crow flies, and the route that a lion would walk, unless he was marking his territory, then they seem to stick along the roads. There's certain spots that they like to mark. He'll probably get there within 5 minutes. It's only a couple of 100 meters away. I mean, it took us fairly quickly to get here, and I promise I was not on a Ferrari safari either. We were in the area searching for Thamba, so we were bound to bump into him at some point. But big paws, powerful legs, a belly that doesn't seem to be too empty. Nsuku. Okay. Oh, okay. So Tristan and a lot of you are saying it's Nsuku. Okay, that's quite interesting. I haven't seen Nsuku for months. I can't actually even recall the last sighting that I have had of Nsuku, or even of Anena. I've only been seeing Tinyo and Mfumo for the last couple of months or so. Had some great sightings with him, so it's quite interesting. I thought his mane was a lot darker, but perhaps it's like I said, maybe it's his chest that's quite dark, and I just can't see it because, well, he's laying down. It's about half of their face on the floor. But we'll, of course, confirm it when he stands up. And if it is Nsuku, we'll see his beautiful golden eyes. And also, he seems to be the most mature. He's actually got a couple of scratches on him. Now, out of them all, Nsuku seemed to be the lion that had the least scratches on his face. Nena has, of course, the equal sign on his nose, and then, well, Tinyo and Mfumo just take the cake when it comes to being battered and bruised, sort of what we typically think male lions should look like. So he's obviously been scrapping, but those little cuts that you can see in his face, that could come from a female, getting too excited, and the female saying just back off, a swipe to the face. The same thing goes, a sort of an altercation around the carcass with one of his coalition members could sort of cause exactly the same, but nothing too serious, just little scratches, and they heal fairly quickly. He does have a big mane though. I reckon if I was a lion, I'd probably be Nsuku with my mane too. He's a lovely boy. Now I wonder where the rest of the Birminghams are. Tristan said something about them being closer towards Buffelshoek boundary, and he said that he's seen 3 out of the 4 Birminghams. I didn't unfortunately get to chat to Tristan for a long time before we went on drive this afternoon. We'll obviously do a lot of the catching up tonight around dinner, and I'll find out exactly what the animals have been up to. And this is the hardest part, is when you go away. Obviously I try and follow, and I read all your tweets and I check the screenshots to see what has been happening on drive. Very difficult, of course, though, to try and pick up once you get back to work, so it might take me a couple of days to remember exactly what goes on here. Now remember, this is live and this is interactive, and we'd love to hear from you, both myself and Tristan, so you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with any questions that you have. It doesn't necessarily have to be about lunch. Perhaps you want to know a little bit more about the weather. Maybe we'll do a test on how fast the wind is blowing today with leaves. No, I don't know, that's ridiculous, we won't be doing that. But it's also good to see that the watering holes have got a fair amount of water in. Well, this is the first one I've actually seen, so I suppose that's not an accurate description, because it does look like Tayla Dam or Gari Dam is drying up quite a bit, but Twin Dams is holding water quite a bit, which is good. Now, Roshni, you're wondering if I'd want this lion to be Nena. Well, I have to be honest, Roshni, Nena is my favourite lion of the Birminghams. We shouldn't have favourites, but of course we all do. We all get these special bonds with these amazing creatures that we're fortunate to see every single day. Well, in the lion's case, they've only really just come back in the last couple of weeks. That's all right, better late than never. And I quite like him. I haven't spent a lot of time with Nsuku. Why do I want to say Nsuku, like with an O at the end? It's not, it's N, and then it ends with a U, not an O. Sorry about that. Apparently I've forgotten how to speak the local language. But I need to get to know this boy. I have seen him only about 2 or 3 times, and once he was fast asleep, I remember, on just close to Tayla, and the other 2 times were quite sort of brief sightings of him. So it'll be good to get to know his personality. Now, it does sound silly when I say, how can a lion have a personality? But they do, just like you and I do. Every single animal out here is an individual, and some are more tolerant than others. We see it with them, Fumo and Tinyo. They seem to be the fighters. They're constantly scrapping with one another, and, well, the lionesses. We've seen it actually many different times, especially last year, and hopefully we'll start to see those types of sightings again. We're still waiting for the buffalo to come back. There's now almost no grass left in the open areas, so I don't really know what is going on with the buffalo. They were due back quite some time ago. They're exceptionally late, and I suppose that they're going to find themselves in quite a bit of trouble when they come back, in the terms, not from Tristan and I, but of course, from the lions that are on the property at the moment. Now, I believe there's quite a few of you that are concerned about this lion's health. I can promise you right now, you don't have to worry about him. If anything, lions are extremely resilient. They're so tough. They really tackle anything that comes their way with all 4 paws and claws out. So don't worry about him. This is typical behavior of not just a male lion, but all lions. It's very important for predators to conserve energy. Now, they don't want to spend their time running around and playing and chasing after antelope all day long, because when it comes down to potentially making a successful hunt, if they've exhausted all their energy, well, that's no good now, is it? So they can sleep for up to 18, 20 hours a day, and that's typically what they will do, especially after they have just made a kill. They're exhausted once they've brought an animal down. They've also gorged themselves full of food, so they need to catch their breath. So they will relax, and you might find, because it's cooling down so quickly, he's actually enjoying the warmth of the sun. That's why he's laying out in the open like this. And it's, that's, it sounded like we had a squeaky door. It was just the bowl of the camera. But it's, of course, it's very important for these cats to rest like this. He wouldn't be laying out in the sun if he was hot. Like I said, I've started the drive off with my puffer jacket, and most days I wear long sleeves all the time, so I'm normally a little bit warmer than the other presenters. It's nippy. Senzel's got his windbreaker on already. There's definitely a bit of ice in the air. I know there's lots of snow on the Lesotho mountains, so that could also be coming off like that, and he's enjoying this. It's basically the morning 10 o'clock sun, that we all want to fall asleep in. It's exactly what he's doing. So he'll probably be having a quick cat nap, and well, maybe he'll go and have a drink. Probably not. They don't need to drink all the time. And off he'll go probably on a territorial patrol, or perhaps looking for something to eat. Now, I heard sort of whispers in the wind, well actually not whispers, howls in the wind because it's so windy today, that Tristan was in the Mulwati. Perhaps he's looking for the Stix or maybe Thamba. Let's go across and find out.
Well, we've got tracks for little Thamba, so he's moved up onto this bank somewhere, and I've had Franklin's alarm calling in here, so I'm just doing a little loop around, trying to see if I can't see in all of these little thickets. There he is. There he is. Awesome. So we've managed to find him. You can just see the little ears poking out, and our luck with Thamba continues. Yeah, I don't know, we get lucky with him, but there he is. He's busy just grooming himself. I'm going to try and reposition Seb so we have a better angle, but there we go. You can see he's just in the grass. So I'm super happy that we found him, because I didn't know we would find him in this kind of dense thicket. I thought it would be a tough afternoon, but just shows you that a little bit of tracking and a bit of alarm calls from a few Franklins, and well, things go very well. Now I just need to let some of the other guys know that are looking. Stations I've located on Thamba. He's just in the thicket here on the eastern side of the Mulwati. Ralph, close to where you passed me. Now I don't know how I'm going to get to him. I'm just trying to see if there's a way to get to where he is. It's in Makulhlatin. So we're going to try and see if we can't just sneak in here somewhere. I just don't want to scare him in any way, although we know he's quite a cool cat. Let's see, if we go through here, we should be able to be okay. Come on, car. No, Rusty, come on. There we go. Seb, how's that?
A little bit more.
That might... There we go. That's as far as I can go. Riedel, you want to know when Thamba last ate? Well, as far as I know, not last night, the night before, because he had a big bulging tummy when we found him yesterday morning, and he had that innards in his mouth from the tree, and there was hyena activity, so I think it was the night before. He's certainly in no way looking skinny or like he doesn't need a meal, but he must be getting tired of us. We keep finding him in the... I hope that he's not getting tired of us. He certainly doesn't seem. He's just kind of non-phased by the fact that we found him again. So busy catching flies as per his routine yesterday afternoon. But I'm certainly glad to see that he stayed out of the way of the big Birmingham boy who must have wandered down from where the Styx Pride is, if it is in Nsuku. So I'm glad that he is actually okay and all is good. You can see he's just in the shade resting on the banks, which is what I expected from him. What are you playing with there? What have you got? Looks like he's got something that he's busy playing with. Is it a ball of elephant dung or a tortoise?
A tortoise, I think.
Is it a tortoise? He's got himself something, maybe a terrapin. I don't know, what have you got there? So talking about food, he's definitely got himself something that he's chewing on. It looks like a shell of something. You see it's quite hard. Tortoise is what I reckon.
Yes.
Now a tortoise at this time of the year, how have you found that, young man? But it just goes to show you, we were talking about it at length this morning and yesterday afternoon. Oh, listen to him crunching. It's an old tortoise though by the looks of it. It doesn't look as though there's too much meat inside there. But he's doing some damage to that carapace already. He's broken it and he's managed to open the shell out. Listen to that crunching. But there's no legs or anything there. It looks quite old, so maybe it's just the smell more than anything else that is making him go for it, or he's already pulled out bits of legs and things and now he's just trying to crunch open the rest of this and get into that area. Taylor McCurdy, who is full of chirps because she's obviously had a nice break, she says she thinks Thamba doesn't prefer fast food then. Well, no, Taylor, I don't think so, because it's going to take him a while. He also certainly doesn't seem to prefer fresh food, because that must be old. There's no meat that I can see anywhere on that tortoise, and the way he's crunching through it, it almost looks as though there's nothing inside there. You can see there's no sign of any meat or blood or anything, even though he's crunching that skull. If that was a fresh tortoise, there would be sinew, there would be a bit of stuff coming out, and there's nothing that I can see. Are you happy about your tortoise, young man? Justin, you're wondering about what exactly Thamba's whiskers are used for. Well, whiskers in general on any of the cats, not just Thamba, are vitally important as a sensory organ for these animals. So basically what happens is they will pick up little vibrations, and they'll pick up little changes, and they'll be able to determine what's going on around them. So in the darkness of night, or in an area when they've got their heads down and they're not able to see over the grass, the movement of animals will be picked up via those whiskers. So it's a sensory organ, much like the eyes and the ears and the nose. It forms just as much a part of it as any of the other things. So that's why they have them, and you'll find they're vitally important. And in the cats that are active at night, so lion and leopard in particular, look at how long the whiskers are. Very, very long whiskers, just to help them feel around as they go when they potentially can't see if they're hunting, and they can then detect prey items close to them. So very important that they have whiskers. And funny enough, I've actually seen a leopard that got caught in a fire. Now, she was absolutely fine, there was no problem with her. In fact, she was then named after fire in Zilo, and she's a female down in the south of the Sabi Sands, and she got caught going and investigating in a fire, and she burnt all her whiskers off. So at one point she had no whiskers whatsoever. Luckily she was still a dependent with her mom at that stage, but it was quite odd to see a leopard without whiskers. You take it for granted when you look at them, because you think, well, you don't just kind of overlook it because all cats have whiskers. But when they don't have, it is quite entertaining not to see. Wait, what has he got there now? Has he got a big piece of it coming out? Seems as though he's managed to crack through it. Now, I know a lot of you were wondering about whether he's got a cracked canine. Well, I'm not sure if he does have a cracked canine. He certainly, if he does, wrenching open tortoise skulls and the likes are not going to be easy on those teeth. And so I doubt that he does, because it would have further sort of crack and open up that tooth. So I think that at this stage it's probably fine. It might just be a line on the tooth. You sometimes do see it every now and then. There's a little sort of hairline crack, and later in life it might cause a problem, but his teeth look fairly healthy to me. They're bright white still and seem as though he's got massive amounts of power. Look at that. Look at how he's just crunched that shell open. Are you having fun? Where did you find this is my next question, because at this time of the year most of the tortoises are in a state of estivation. So they're either dug themselves down somewhere, or they're in a thicket somewhere where they're trying to stay out of the cooler weather and trying not to move around, because it's also very dry. They don't want to utilize too much moisture. So the only thing that I can think is it's either a tortoise that died a while ago and it's still got a bit of scent to it and that's why he's messing around, or with this warmer weather a tortoise was moving around and he managed to find it, and that's what he's got himself and is busy sort of looking at and playing around with. Yeah, that is old. We can see there's not much meat inside. In fact, there's no meat inside there. Riddle, you want to know when the leopards lose their baby teeth? Well, with Thamba, we saw him losing his baby teeth when he was about 8 months old. That's when he started to lose his baby teeth. The proper ones came through and his old ones disappeared. So at about 8 months old is the right sort of age for them to use them, and that's as they shift more from a milk. This is certainly, it's not a fresh kill. I think that this has been dead for a little bit of time, but it still looks as though there's a bit of meat inside there. So I don't know, it's an interesting one. It's a bit of a mystery as to where this would have come from. In summer months it would have been an easy one to work out, but now in winter not so much, because the flesh inside still looks as though it's a little bit pinky white. You can see just through there's a little bit of pink white flesh in there, which would not be that color if this was killed in the summer months. It would be black and dry and all of that, so... Oh. He's now got his muzzle right inside there. Anyway, I hope he's having fun. Now, while I sit with him and enjoy him snacking on his crunchy little afternoon tea, let's go back across to Tayla and her... I think she's still with the big male line, or maybe not, I'm not sure, but I'm sure she will update you as to what her plans are and where she's off to.
I haven't quite decided what I'm exactly going to do this afternoon. I'd love to spend the whole day with Nsuku so I can get to know him a little bit better, but I feel like there's so many other animals on the property that I could potentially show you or could potentially find. Now, it's funny how our plans sort of changed, because I was initially looking for Thamba and I'd seen some of his tracks, and I'd also seen the baboon tracks. So I was coming down towards Twin Downs because that's the way the baboon tracks were going, and I thought maybe they chased him. And then Aubrey had spotted the lions, so Tristan was actually going to look for lions, so we swapped roles today. But I know Tristan is a huge fan of the spotted cats, and I am more of a lion girl, though I love all the animals out here. There's also been a lot of chatter of francolins a little bit east from where I am. I reckon it's probably the Styx Pride that is causing all of that havoc. I know Aubrey's gone to inspect, so he will let us know. That could be another area that Nsuku potentially goes for, is sort of east from where we are now. And he's known to sort of hang around the Styx Pride quite a bit. That's his favorite pride. By the looks of it, he seems to mate. Now, when I say lazy, I mean that I have yet to see this male participating in a hunt. Now, of course, it's a huge myth that male lions don't hunt. That's nonsense. We have all seen, if you've been watching the show for long enough, many times where just the male lions have taken down large prey, such as buffalo, and really they're capable of taking down anything. But I've never seen him, and I haven't heard of many people saying, "Oh yeah, we watched the Styx Pride take down the lions, and Nsuku was there, and oh my goodness, he helped pull the buffalo to the ground." The things that I have heard are, "Oh my goodness, we watched the Styx Pride pull down a buffalo, and then Nsuku came in and chased everyone off and fed on the buffalo." That's what I normally hear about him. Whereas Tenyo and Mfumo and Nana, are very much involved and seem to not worry about getting their hands dirty and using their brute force, which is necessary when bringing down a large prey species. So, Nsuku, I'm open to you proving me wrong today. Show me that you are not the laziest Birmingham boy. But we'll see what he gets up to. We'll stay here for a little bit longer. I'm hoping now that it's getting colder, he'll get up. But let's go across to Thamba. He's finished his fast food and he's on the move.
Well, little Thamba seems to have finished his not-so-fast food. Now he's broken it all apart, and we had a really good look at it. He picked it up, and it certainly is quite fresh. There is definitely... he's eaten it over the last little bit, and I have a theory that yesterday afternoon when we saw him, I was commenting that it looked as though he possibly had something to eat yesterday during the day, because his tummy was fuller than what I thought it would be by that time of the day, and I think maybe he killed this yesterday afternoon, went to Twin Dams for water, and then yesterday he slowly meandered back, and now this afternoon he's found it again and is playing around. That's what my theory is, because the meat inside there is still quite pink, so I would imagine it's from yesterday's meal. But there it is, he's discarded it. What have you got there now? You've got a bit of a leg or something that he's busy clawing at. What are you playing with? Now, unfortunately, I can't really go any further forward. I'm already lodged on a stump, so it's going to be interesting to try actually get out of here. So let's just see where he goes. No, he's decided back to the carapace we're going, or to the plastron. One of the two, depends on which side it is. There we go. Justin, you're wondering if tortoise jerky is any good. Well, Justin, I can honestly say I've never had it, but if you're a leopard, apparently it is very tasty. Seems as though he's enjoying his little snack and enjoying eating it. You can see, look there, look how red and pink that meat is. So I'm sure that he's had something. Now the francolins behind me are still complaining bitterly. So I don't know. I wonder if maybe Tunley's not coming back here. I hope it's not the Stix that have moved closer with the crunching on this tortoise shell, but it certainly is some Franklins behind me that are not impressed at all. And they can't see little Thamba from where they are. It must be another animal that's moving there. It's not like they're going crazy, so it could be. You can see, look how he's looked over his shoulder now. Yes, you need to be careful today, because with this wind blowing, his hearing is going to be severely compromised. He's going to have bushes moving and grass moving, and he's not going to be able to hear things walking as easily. So he needs to keep his wits about him while he's feeding off this, and particularly tortoise shells, because they make a lot of noise when being fed upon. I think he's lucky that the wind is blowing the right direction, that it's blowing from where the sticks are to him rather than the opposite way around, much like what we saw this morning. In fact, it's actually blowing more in a northerly direction than anything else. Dennis, you want to know if leopards can hunt big animals? Well, most certainly, Dennis. The largest animal that I've personally seen was a 2-year-old giraffe that was killed by Tingana and Moya. So they were mating together and they managed to bring down a giraffe that was about 2 years old. So that is a really large animal, and I've seen photographs of leopard bringing down baby elephants and baby rhinos as well, and baby hippos. So leopards most certainly do go after large animals. But you can see now why we're saying that is fresh. There's actually bits of sinew there over his paw and bits of redness, so definitely not an old carcass at all. Now I'm going to sit with Thamba and see what he gets up to, because as we know with him, he's not a boy that sits for too long. He moves around all over the show. So we're going to stay with him and see if maybe once he's had his tortoise, he decides to move off and go and find something else. And while we do that, let's go back to Tayla, who's still probably enjoying the fact that she's back in the reserve and looking at lions rather than the afternoon traffic of Joburg.
That couldn't be more true, Tristan. You know, I love going home. I get to see my mom and my dad and my younger brother. It's so fantastic. However, this is my real home, isn't it? I belong in the bush. I'm not quite a city girl. So yeah, I'm very happy to be, even though it is a sleeping cat, even just trying to remember what birds are what calling in the distance. It sounds really silly, but I promise you, your senses are completely sort of dulled when you go into the city. My hearing, my eyesight, my sense of smell, everything feels so foreign again. At one point I was nervous, actually. I don't know if it was because of the energy drink that gave me heart palpitations, or if it was just because I was nervous and excited to be back in the bush. Probably about being excited about being back in the bush. I could spend every single day of my life, and that's one thing I don't think a lot of people realize. Seeing as our cat is flat, we might as well talk about all sorts of other things, is that when you try and live in the bush and you try to be a field guide or a chef that works in a lodge, you know, all these types of housekeeper, is that it's really a way of life, and typically more for the guides. You do give up a lot, and it's just one of those things. You can't half live in the bush. You really have to give 100% of yourself, and it's probably the most rewarding job in the entire world. I know how lucky I am to be in the position that I am right now, when all of us are, even Senzo, I'm sure, from spending only 50% of your time in the bush. You get it when you sort of, well, indulge in all this wonderful nature. So we're very, very lucky. Even the ladies in final control, when they get to go out on a drive here and there, it really does make it so special. So we really do love what we do. Like I say, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. We've chosen to do exactly this. And yeah, sometimes you've got to be patient when you have a lion fast asleep. But as Byron would say, you know, Byron hates to talk about flat cats. And it's quite right, because you never know when they're going to wake up. Now imagine if something like a herd of buffalo came marching out of the thicket, though I don't think a herd of buffalo are going to be around today, just because I have yet to even see a buffalo track. However, a herd of kudu could quite easily come from behind Nsuku and might not see him because he's got a bit of coverage, and he could jump up and pounce on them. Now, we have a question from Christina, and the question is, do we follow the same animals or just the ones in a particular area? Well, this is where it's quite difficult, Christina. We would love to be able to follow the animals everywhere that they went. That's of course the goal. However, it's not how it works in most areas of South Africa. So we're in a private area at the moment, the Sabi Sand Wildtuin. It's a private game reserve. Yes, it is open to the Greater Kruger National Park, as the Timbavati and Thorny Bush, all these various areas, and well, of course, Buffels Hoek. But the land within these private areas, so not the Kruger National Park, are owned by individuals. And in order to prevent sort of overpopulating an area with vehicles, you have traversing rights. So if you have an arrangement with various landowners where you traverse whatever that arrangement may be, it could be that you pay them monthly, or it could be that you swap traverses. So you say, okay, great, you can have 2 vehicles on my property at any one time, and vice versa, that type of thing. And unfortunately, we can't go everywhere. It's just one of those things. And the animals can, which is the most important thing. So we follow the animals for as much of the time as we can in the areas that we can follow them. But Christina, let me tell you, I promise you, the amount of times that the cats, for instance, have been on the property and we just haven't been able to find them, that probably happens more often than we think. We could go 2 or 3 days, say the Nkuhumas are animal in the whole wide world. Well spotted. Oh goodness, eagle eyes at the back over there. You're fantastic, Senzo. Sure, I thought you were going to show. I thought it was kudu. I had my heart set on kudu. Actually, let's go have a look at the elephant. We'll come back to him. He's... Oh no. Oh no. No. Please just show what Nsuku did. Absolutely nothing. I apologize about that. That's very awkward. I'm so sorry to have disturbed you, Nsuku, from your slumber. Oh my goodness. So Wendy is supposed to have her fuse for the Huta and the immobilizer, or everything like that's supposed to be deactivated. However, I know that she's had a recent big service, and as you can imagine, the mechanics that come through and do our services, they check every nook and cranny. So they probably noticed that there was a fuse. I'm too scared to turn the car on again. Now I'm just going to hold the keys in my hand. We're not going. So, we can watch the elephant because he's coming this way. Listen, buddy, you might want to turn around and look behind you. This could be quite a nice shot, eh? With a big, well, our biggest giants walking across the dam wall, and of course a lion. So again, sorry about that. The mechanics have obviously replaced all the fuses that we intentionally removed, not realizing that this type of thing can happen. Wendy is known for it. We can all ask Jamie about her experience that she had while she was live to National Geographic. That was a funny moment, but like I said, the keys are staying in my hand, and I'm not going to put them back in the car until I don't know when. Again, you saw though, he lifted his head. He's not worried at all. He just sort of said, that's very rude, Ted. I was trying to sleep. I don't come past your room. Actually, payback. That's what I'm going to say. For the amount of times that the lions have roared at 2 o'clock in the morning and woken me up. Perhaps it's paid back. But I'm very excited to see my favorite animal. I didn't think we were going to see 2 of the big 5 together. Like I said, an African grey giant, not particularly bothered at all. Well, yes, I told you about him, Nsuku, and you didn't listen. See, both of them ignoring each other because they're a fair distance apart. Now, if this elephant bull were to come down and drink on the side of the dam, which we were on, I actually don't know if he's realized that this lion is here. He would have chased Nsuku. Nsuku would have had to, well, put his foot down. Now, Sinak, you're wondering if the Ellie was attracted by the horn. I don't know, maybe. I didn't think he looked like he was in must, but perhaps he thought, whoa, that's a different sounding elephant. I need to meet that girl. Sorry to disappoint you, big boy. It's just Wendy having a mild meltdown. So that was quite funny. But again, the elephant didn't react. The lion didn't react. They all just sort of gave me very dirty looks, so I do apologize. And that's just one of the most amazing things, Archer. Remember, these animals, well, they are not tame. They're completely wild. If I were to get out the car now. What would happen is Nsuku would probably run away because I would give him a fright, but if he was on a carcass, he'd probably turn and attack me, so it's always good to stay, of course, in the car. The elephant, he's the biggest animal in Africa. There's very few things that worry him other than people every now and then. But how entertaining was that? Well, that's a great welcome back and a great start for me. Thamba seems to be on the move again. I wonder what's got his attention. Perhaps it was the hooter. Let's go across to Tristan, and I wonder if Tristan heard Wendy having her meltdown.
Well, Tayla, I didn't hear Wendy's meltdown from here. It's so windy where we are and sheltered that we couldn't hear it. But little Thamba didn't hear it as well. He's just been rooting about. We found where he killed his tortoise and found another piece. It was a massive leopard tortoise that he must have killed. So he's done quite well with that. And now he's just being Thamba. He's busy checking around, looking around as he does. Seb, I think I'm going to reposition you slightly because I think we're going to have a much better gap from below. He's looking that way anyway, so we might as well just drop down into the drainage part again and be able to see him fairly nicely, then sitting up on the top here where we can't see as nicely at all. So let's quickly... Oh, look how nice this is. He's just sitting perfectly, Seb. There we go. Exquisite Bliss, you want to know if Thamba's a loner? Well, no, he's not a loner. He's just unfortunately a young male. He's a young male, unfortunately, that has a mom that is moving around a lot. She's territorial, and he's quite big, which means that he eats a lot, and so it means that poor Thandi has got to do a lot of hunting to be able to feed this large chap, and that means that she spends a lot of time away from him. But he's not a loner. And fortunately for him also is that his litter mate died. She was unfortunately killed by something, we don't know what, and so it was just him by himself. So he's now on his own, and he has to live life by himself and keep himself entertained while mom is off hunting. And it seems as though she keeps coming back late at night when we're not around, because every morning we come here, her tracks are all over the place, but no sign of her. So maybe this afternoon we break our luck a little bit and we'll get to see mom joining again and coming and rescuing her little son and coming and spending some time with him. But the bond between the two of them is going to start breaking, and he will start to become more and more on his own. Tom Letter, you are a new viewer and welcome to Safari Live and to the large family that is Safari Live and the largest vehicle, the safari vehicle in the world. Now, I hope you're enjoying it so far, and you say that leopards have a good life. Well, for the most part, yes. It's also a very tough life, though. You'll find with these guys, they unfortunately have, to survive is not easy. What have you just gotten your... I don't know what just happened, but he just got an absolute fright. I think it was this Franklin walking right here. So this little Franklin coming down the bank rustled, and he got an absolute fright and went bolting off. Thamba, you're not supposed to be scared of Franklins. They are not going to harm you, little one. So I was saying that they do have a tough life, and sometimes you can see why. Even the Franklins play practical jokes. Now, we're going to quickly jump across to Tayla because I believe she's got the lines and they're going to cross south.
Hello everybody again. Let me just turn the Game Drive radio around. So we've got the Stix. I'm going to show you them in a moment. They were moving quite quickly, and I don't know what they'd seen. I wonder if it was just one of the youngsters that perhaps got left behind and was trying to catch up to mom. Let's go off-road because we can traverse here. Let's do that. We're just coming off Leadwood Road, and I just need to find a sneaky gap and also a spot that we're not going to fall into a mud wallow. We've left Nsuku, still sleeping, surprise, surprise. We'll catch up with him. Hopefully he'll still be around. But here they are, and they're just stopping now. I don't really want to fall into that, and I also don't want to block these guys' view, so I'm just going to go a little bit further forward. Just chatting quickly to Orbs. There we go. Now the car that's also parked on the boundary can have a look too. How exciting is this? Now that lioness seems to be showing, well, she's not happy obviously, on the way that she is sort of lifting her lips, exposing her teeth. That's not normally a good sign. I don't think it's towards us though. Otherwise she would have showed that she was really unhappy with us. But here's one of the older Styx cub. I haven't seen them for a long time. Now JC, you're wondering if there's any word on the rest of the Styx cubs. Unfortunately, I have no idea. Like I said, it's going to take me a couple of days to get back into everything to find out where the lions have been. At the moment, it's just one lioness here with a youngster. But if I'm not mistaken, I think there were six. There were 6 Styx cubs, 4 younger ones, and then also the 2 older cubs, but I literally have not seen them for a very long time. The last time I'd spotted them, it was not the greatest view of them. It was with Hosanna. He was up a tree. They had apparently chased him up a tree. It was just actually quite close to Twin Dams. All the action seems to be hanging around this area. Again, water, which is one thing we need to keep in mind during these dry seasons, is that water is vital than the vegetation itself. So we will have a lot of sightings around Buffelshoek Dam, around Tayla Dam, and around Twin Dam. See that? I don't know what's upset her so much. Hello, girl. She's happy to walk past the car, not worried at all. See then, she's not upset with the cars. I wonder if she actually hasn't smelt something. See that? She keeps sort of, maybe they're hunting. That could be another potential option. Maybe she's looking for the rest of the pride. There are 3 adult lionesses in the Styx Pride now. Hello, beautiful. You've got lovely eyes, don't you? But you can see, unfortunately, they're not the cleanest looking lions. They're not like the Ngahumas, but we know that the Styx do carry mange, and they haven't seemed to beat it. What are you looking at? I'm going to quickly... Did you see anything, Orbs? Oh, Impala. Fantastic. So William and Aubrey are just sitting here, the guide and tracker team from Djuma. Now they actually came across, and remember I said to you that they were going to go and see if they could follow up on them. They said that there are some impala, and we're in the same area where we had that incredible sighting where the impala walked right in front of Tundi. Do you remember that on the fire break? It was maybe even a month ago now, maybe a bit longer ago. It was Sebastian and I, and the impala do really, really, really like it around this area. Again, the wind just blew my hood on. Maybe it was just have to stay like that for the rest of the day. So that's obviously what's happening. Now, well, an impala is not a great meal. I don't think she's enjoying this cub. I think she's actually agitated at the fact that the cub is around and could potentially ruin their hunt. And that's exactly what I think is going on. She's growling. Yeah, the cub just sat down. Yeah, you better listen. Now, I don't know if this is the mother of the cub. You can see that definitely has had youngsters suckling off of her. These cubs should be about 6, maybe even older, 7, 8 months old now, I'm trying to think. The youngest ones must be close to about 6 months now. Like I said, it's so hard to keep track, especially when you don't see these animals for a very, very long time. So there's lots of vehicles coming through here now. And so what we're going to do is, most of you know, I don't like to crowd the animals. So as soon as there's too many people on the boundary and I feel like these animals are being pressured, I'm going to remove myself from the situation. That's just me and how I feel about the animals. I'm just checking. So I haven't seen where the others are. Okay, Senzo, can you see the impala? Let's just show you what they're looking at. Down there's a gap. So you'll see a power line, and that's because we have these power lines on the main road. So there's an entire herd of impala just down there, completely unaware of the lion's presence, and they're actually downwind of the impala, which is where they want to be. In fact, you can see there's just a vehicle in the bottom left-hand corner. They're the guards that are on the boundary, and they're completely unaware of the lion's presence, and that's what the lions want. The lions want that to happen. They've actually got a very good chance here. Lots and lots of timberties around here that would create good coverage, and also quite a few drainage systems, so they could go in, they could get right underneath. Yeah, let's just watch this lioness. She's not happy with this youngster. They could literally get right underneath the impala, and then, well, lions move very quickly with a charging speed of 22 meters per second before that impala could even twitch its ear. Hopefully the Styx lions could catch one of them. Like I said, not a big meal though, but it's better than nothing. You've got to take what you can get out here, especially when you unfortunately have a parasite attacking you constantly. They can't seem to get rid of this mange. In fact, I actually must say, I think, in my opinion, from the last time that I saw them, I think that this lioness looks in fairly good condition. I mean, I remember last year, it was so sad. It was really absolutely devastating. See, it's definitely got mange, but at this age, I think it'll do it right. As long as they constantly keep getting... what is wrong with me? I'm so excited now. As long as they're constantly catching things, and eating and drinking and staying sort of fit and healthy, they'll be fine. It will be there, but they'll be okay. And Liz, thank you. You also agree. You also say that they look in much better condition. And their condition will improve. Just because now there's better opportunity for them to catch animals. The herbivores are going to start to get weaker and weaker now because there's not enough vegetation around. Well, not any vegetation that's got really any good sustenance to it. And that's when the lions and the leopards and the hyenas and all the different predators, you really get to see how amazing they are. Some it's a bit more difficult for them. All the vegetation is lush and green. The animals are healthy. They fight back. But this is the better time for them. And again, though, I suppose it's much of a muchness because the rain is really good for mange as well. So I can hear the oxpeckers. They're flying overhead. I wonder if they know that the impala now. I'm just trying to think. Sensor, if I swing left hand down, am I going to miss those mud wallows that are behind us?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. I actually want to go along the fire break. I want to see if I can't find the other lionesses, but I also don't want to drive. Okay. What I'll do is I'll actually send you across to Tristan now while I try and navigate, and we'll also fight the wind. So we'll see you in a little bit.
Well, Tayla, I would imagine that you're going to have a tough time with the navigating of wind because it is howling. And you can see our little boy is now in a thicket. He's decided to rest nicely just in that little gap there. And it's not very easy for us to get anywhere close by at this stage. It's unfortunately quite dense where he's lying, and so we're just going to let him sit there and groom himself. Also, what you'll find with him is that, as we've seen this afternoon already, he's a busy little leopard. He doesn't sit still for long, and we've noticed that over the last few days. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be up and moving and exploring, and I'm just super glad that the Styx Pride and as well as the Birmingham have moved the opposite direction to the way that he is. It means that he doesn't have to stress nearly as much now, and he's able to then spend time relaxing here and wait. Confused by the whole thing. I have no idea where those other cubs must be, and it's a little concerning because at the end of the day we know that they shared a carcass with a male lion that was not the father of those cubs, and since that day I don't know if anybody's actually seen all the cubs. I've tried to send some messages to the guys that traverse south of us, and they basically asked them how many cubs they've seen since they returned back from Male, but I haven't received an answer yet, because it seems really odd to me that these lions are moving around and are not trying to contact call those cubs, unless they've left them somewhere. But it would make no sense that one cub is tagging along and the rest are still behind somewhere. So I'm a bit worried as to where the rest could be. Maybe they're just hiding and they've left them somewhere and they just didn't feel like following, and one cub was a bit naughty and followed on. I'm not sure, but it's certainly an interesting situation, and I'm surprised also that Nsuku has left those females during the day today. I would have thought that he would have stuck quite close by to them. I suppose it's not going to be difficult to find the lionesses. As soon as there's a bit of a roar or a bit of contact calling, he can hear them and make his way straight there. What have you seen now? Looks like he spotted some. So Tula Ann, who is 5 years old, hello Tula Ann, I hope you're having a nice day. You say, does Thamba like to play with other animals? Because he's a silly goose. He is a bit of a silly goose sometimes. He does like to interact with other animals. We've seen him running away from francolins and staring at francolins, and yesterday he was trying to stalk them but didn't do very well. And we've seen him looking and watching everything, even the leaves rustling. This morning he was playing with the spider web, so he is a playful character, and it seems as though he does like to go after the other friends. Now I believe Tayla has something to show us, so let's quickly jump across to her.
Okay, right, I don't know. Here come the impala. Here they come. Okay, wait, we're gonna just watch. Center, follow.
There's a lion there.
There. Oh, she missed. There's the lion. She missed. Oh my gosh, I don't know where to look. Okay, so have a listen to the sound that's going on. They're chasing more. They're chasing up top there. There's a lot going on at the moment. So what happened was, two of the lionesses crossed the road and went into the drainage line where we saw those impala. Let's follow. Okay, now I can go because they've moved. Let's go. Okay, hold on. Ah! She's running up the road. They're still going to try. There she goes, one lioness. So obviously the plan was to chase them towards this lioness. But unfortunately, she missed. And that's the reality of lion hunts, is that most of them end up like this. So I'm just going to get you into a position. She's still going. We're going to probably lose her. We'll see how long we can stay with her. But now I can understand her frustration. Obviously that youngster doesn't know, that young cub I'm talking about, it doesn't know where to go or what to do, and is just following the lionesses around. And really that little one needed to stay put somewhere, because they could quite easily ruin the hunt. It wasn't concerned about where it was going or what it was doing. It was just sort of following a lioness around. They must have a lioness on the other side of the road, because I can see a vehicle. You may have just seen it moving. So I think they're coming this side. I don't know where the impala have gone now. Impala are hard animals to catch. They are so fit. They are incredible jumpers. They can move at such a speed. How exciting. Okay, let me send her. We're not going to be able, she's just going to sit down now. That's cool. Okay, let me go forward. Let me try and find a little gap here. Maybe we can just watch her on the head. Or, you know what, I think it's going to be quicker to turn around and go back the other way. Patience. Oh, sorry, I hope, no, I'm not going to drive you into any bushes. How cool is that? My goodness. You really just don't know what's going to happen on safari. Now, I wonder if Nsuku has heard all the commotion and is also going to come this way. He most certainly would have heard the... we're going to actually find a gap here, because I think since we might watch these other lions coming back this way. Let me see if I can find one for you. It's so... There's unfortunately no real view at the moment, because I know what will happen is if I go down and onto the boundary, we won't really see what's happening. We've got a good vantage point, as does this lioness that's just hiding behind the trees. I'm trying to think, is she going to move? Let me see if I park in here. I don't think I'll be able to get in. A little bit better, hey? There we go. We can sort of see that there's a lion there now. There you go, it's just sitting on the edge there. I love it. I can't explain to you the adrenaline that's pumping. There she goes, pumping through my veins. But she missed. I think she was distracted. I think that's why she's so annoyed with that young cub. She couldn't do what she wanted to do, because as she got up and ran in this direction, we heard the other impala alarming. We'll try and quickly go around. The cub was following her, and the little one can actually get hurt. It sounds silly, but if an impala were to run into a young cub like that or stand on it, it could definitely get injured, and obviously the adults don't want that. So I just think a pity, because what a great plan, what fantastic hunting technique, two going around chasing them back this side and that lioness sitting and waiting, but just not good enough, I'm afraid. Here's some of the very, very scared impala. I'll show you. There's one just, where is it? Oh, there they go. The impala actually crossing the road again. They're running. They're not wasting any time. They're getting out of here now. But They don't know where the lions are. See? And it's windy. We can't hear anything. If you think that the impala are worried, I'd be having, well, a little meltdown myself if I was out here on foot, not knowing where the lions were. Let me get a better view again. We're just waiting for Andrew to move forward, but he has done so. They could still be there. They could just be waiting. This might not be the end just yet. They haven't used very much energy. We'll watch your impala. You see, very jumpy. Literally all the sound. There's a steenbok. The impala also running up the drainage line out the other side. That one that we just Senzo was following is actually trying to regroup, just running up over there, and that's the best decision that impala can make, is actually not being on its own, going back to the herd, regrouping so that there's more eyes and ears around. How exciting was that? What a welcome back to work. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Yeah, I can hear that. Everybody is alarming. I think that lioness is crossed now. Andrew, did that Mafazi cross? Okay, I'll go have a look. Thanks. That my daughter's there. He should still be there. Okay. I'm just having a quick chat to Andrew. He's a guide from Chitwa Plains. He's been on the northern Sabi sands for a very long time. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what's our best spot is going to be. I don't want to drive into the power lines. Oh my goodness, look at the steep drop. Will we make it? I'll hold my camera, so that wouldn't be a good idea if it fell to its death. Lions, lions, where did you go? Lions, lions, I don't know. Well, they must be there because there's lots of vehicles there, so that's obviously where they've gone. Let me sneak past Shanae and find out if she knows where that lioness went. We'll ask her quickly. Hi, Shanae, did that lioness cross? Okay, cool. That youngster's still here. It's only one. Oh, okay, then that's it. Okay, cool. Enjoy. Okay, so I just chatted to Shanae. I can see where they crossed, just behind her car. And so that female and the youngster also crossed over. So they've all gone through that way now. Doesn't seem like they caught anything. I didn't hear any distress calls, although when a lion does take down a... Let me just get the radio. I want to ask Andrew if I can join him with this male. While we do that, sorry, over corrugation. Andrew, is there anyone else there with that Madora at Twin Dams? Quickly find out from Andrew. I don't want to be stealing all the lion spots today. Okay. Well, I'll try and jump on the radio. It doesn't seem to be responding now. Perhaps he's explaining everything that's happened. Wonderful, isn't it? But we'll try and head back to Nsuku. Let's go across to Tristan, who is sitting with Thamba. And you never know what that fella is going to get up to.
Well, he's highly entertaining because while he's hidden behind some thick vegetation, you can see he's watching. There's a Burchell's kukkel that's above him, jumping around. So for those of you who don't know what a Burchell's kukkel is, it's a bird, but it's in the top of that tree, so it's about there somewhere, Seb. So it's bouncing around and it's keeping Thamba highly entertained. You can just see its tail every now and then somewhere there, Seb. Saw it bouncing around, maybe a little higher, go up a bit. There it is, yeah, there. So you can see it's moving around, and that's causing Thamba to watch above him with this look of anguish, as though he wants to go and play with his friend up in the tree, but he's just too lazy to actually get up there and go and get to where the Burchell's kukkel is. So it's quite fun just to watch him as he goes along and watches and tries his very best not to give himself away. He's also had a bit of a to see what's going on above him. Longing, I suppose, is the best way. Cindy, you're a new viewer and you say, wow. Well, Cindy, you've tuned into an absolutely fabulous afternoon. We've had the most fun this afternoon already. We've had lions and we've got leopard and it's all just happening. So I'm glad that you've tuned in, and I hope that you're enjoying it so far, and given the statement that you've made, I would believe that you are. Now, interestingly enough, that bird that we showed you just now, which has disappeared a little bit, is actually a bird that is indicative of rain. So it's a bio-indicator for us out here. It means that if that bird is calling, rain potentially is coming. And I've been listening very carefully to try to see if it is calling, because this cold front theoretically is supposed to be blown in, and that theoretically is going to mean rain might come. But that bird is quiet, so hopefully that means no rain for us for now. Sinak, you're asking, is the Birchall's cuckoo related to... I didn't get the first part of the name, but I think you said cuckoos. No, it's not. It's not a cuckoo, it's a cuckoo. So C-O-U-C-A-L, cuckoo. It's not a cuckoo, so not the same bird species at all, and they do not rob nests and parasitize other birds like cuckoos do. So it's called a cuckoo, not a cuckoo. Oh, you are a busy cat. You don't sit still for more than 2 minutes. There we go, up again. Now you're going to go up into your tree. Your bird has flown away long ago. He's such a funny cat, this. Now there's another bird that's sitting nicely out in the open while Thamba, we're going to reposition now to try to get a better view of him, but there's a grey go-away bird that is way up, Seb. You're going to have to shift to the left. There he is. So up at the top there, sitting in the most beautiful light, is our grey go-away bird. There we are. You can see trying to balance in the wind. These guys, how's that for a bit of a yoga pose? In the wind, one-legged, while scratching your head. Try that at home. I think even the best of yoga instructors would battle with that one on a windy branch. And so he's having a good groom. Now, the grey go-away bird, as the name suggests, when it calls will say go away. That's what its call is. So it basically tells everybody that when they see something, they make that call and tell everyone to go away and to be sure that there is a predator around. So if that grey go-away bird spots Thamba, we'll hear it complaining quite a bit, although it's now flying away. So off it goes. Unfortunately for us here, we don't see too many more of that particular family. The Luries or Turako family are absolutely beautiful. They're some of the most beautiful birds that we get in South Africa. And here we only get one other species called the purple crested Turako, and I'm going to show you what it looks like now, because it is probably one of the more beautiful birds that we actually get here. So this is the family of Turako, which occurs down in the south of South Africa from the sort of Knysna region. So that's where that one goes, and then you've got Schlouws and Livingstons, which are further north up towards Vic Falls and areas like that. Then you come down a little bit and you've got our grey go-away bird here on the right. You can see little drab in comparison to the rest of the family, not quite as brightly coloured. And then actually, funny enough, this Ross's Turako that you see here, there's been a record of one of these in southern Africa yesterday or the day before, I think it is, and it is a very, very rare bird. It's not supposed to really occur, and I think at the moment it would be the 4th record of it in the sub-region. So that's a big bird that's arrived out of nowhere in Botswana. And then this is the one that I was saying that we do get here as well, which is the purple crested Turako. Beautiful deep red wings, and then bits of purple and blue and greens throughout. And this is the area where you will find this bird. Here in the Mulawati you find them flying around fairly regularly, so that's another one of our special birds to look out for from time to time. So I often say, and I remember one of my trackers used to say, that the grey go-away bird unfortunately was hit with the ugly stick in the family, which I don't know if it's necessarily true. Their coloration is perfect for the environment that they spend time, because they are out in the savannah areas and their grey coloration blends a lot better than a bright green or bright purple bird. But he used to say that it is to make... He was always on about that the grey go-away bird was nowhere near as pretty as the others. You can see this is often what happens after a meal, is a leopard will spend its time having a little bit of a groom, get rid of any bits that have gotten onto the paws or onto the face and whisker area when you've been crunching through bits of shell and sinew. This is what happens. Gee, if you're wondering if I think Thamba gets bored or lonely, yes I do. I think he does get bored. You often see him looking at everything, wondering what's going on and trying to see things and sort of investigate. So I think he does get a little bit bored. Remember, he doesn't have a litter mate like Shungile and Hosani used to have, so when they were left on their own, they used to play around with each other and go up in trees and all kinds of other things, and he doesn't have that option. But at the end of the day, it's also the life that he's going to lead as he gets older, so he's going to become a loner, he's going to be an independent individual, and he's not going to spend time around leopards too often. So even though it seems as though he does get bored now while he's youthful, it's just a phase. He will grow out of it, and eventually he's going to be a solitary male leopard, much like any of the other leopards out here. So while it's kind of feel sorry for him now, because you can see there's this kind of desire in his eyes to play and to move around, at some point in life he is going to have to go on his own, so don't have to feel too sorry for him. Now I'm going to try and see if I can reposition ourselves slightly so that we can see Thamba a little bit better, because where we are right now is not fantastic. And so while we do that, I believe Tayla has a beautiful view of the golden sun setting with our golden boy, the Birmingham Male Nsuku.
Tristan, you actually couldn't have said it better. And I think we need to take a moment to appreciate the fantastic camera work from Sensor today, and I'm sure Sebastian is doing an absolutely sterling job too. But can you believe it? The sun is starting to set later and later, and we have to, well, wait for that beautiful golden hour, but it's definitely it now. We have got a lovely view of a backlit Nsuku, who really hasn't moved much except for the fact that he's now curled up in a ball. And I think that's because he's feeling a little bit chilly. It is cold. I actually said to Senzo at one point, I'm going to have to go back to camp to get another jacket. And then, that exciting incident describes that it was about I really thought that I was going to come back, because I seem to have not the greatest luck with the animals at times, but that's okay, I don't mind, it's just one of those things. But wow, what a welcome back. This is probably the best welcome back I've ever received from the animals. So thank you, Northern Sabi Sand Animals. That was great. And I hope that those Styx lions managed to catch something decent in size to fill their bellies. And I hope that the rest of the pride returns with all the little ones. I don't know where the little cubs have gone to. Quite unusual. I might actually have to have a chat to maybe Shanae at some point. And maybe I'll have to give her a call and find out when last all the Styx cubs were seen together, just to try and figure out. But let's not assume the worst. Sometimes this happens, and the cubs do get separated from the adults, but they normally find their way back. We actually had that incident last year. Most of you who've been watching for quite some time will remember that, and it was an amazing sighting. I think Brent actually had it with the return of the lost Styx cubs. It was really, really quite special. Now, Riedel, you're wondering, their father, would they interact? I suppose it depends on the situation. If it was maybe, and also it depends on how old the lions were. That of course plays a huge part in it, because if they're about 3 years old, 2.5 years, 3 years old, they're not going to be tolerated by the males so much, regardless of whether they're their offspring or not, because they become potential threats. They threaten their position and their coalition, and they could be taken out. If it was young cubs, I actually don't know. I've never seen anything like that. It's an interesting question. So say, for instance, if the Birminghams came across those young lost cubs, I don't know what would happen. I've never seen a offspring, I'm not sure. Or would they just act like male lions do and typically take out the young cubs, because, you know, like I've just said, they want to invest all their time and sweat and tears and urine as well into their offspring and not someone else's. So it's actually a very difficult one to answer, and I'll probably be able to answer that a lot better if I have a sighting and actually what would happen. You know, often what will happen is I have seen it before where the cubs have been left and male lions have come in to try and retrace the steps of the pride, and they've stumbled across all the litter of the young. We'll try and get a better view. I think I might go a little bit closer. We're quite far away, and hopefully our friend over here will wake up, as we've had so much excitement, and hopefully it continues throughout the night. But let's go across to Tristan and let's ask him the question, that I was just chatting about.
Well, Tayla, we know this morning full well that male lions do interact a little bit with their male cubs, because a male Styx cub went and lay right next to Nsuku and he didn't really even bat an eyelid. He wasn't too phased by the fact that Nsuku was there, so most certainly sometimes they will. I've seen down in the south there was a male called the K&P male, and I saw him with cubs all around him, jumping on him, all over his mane, even the male ones. And then I've seen even older lions than that. So the Southern Pride, when there was males there, and the Hilda's Rock males, they used to also not be too phased about it. So it does happen from time to time that you will find male lions interacting with their cubs, but when they start to become sub-adult, so when they get crossover from that sort of 1.5 to 2 years, then you find that it becomes a much colder relationship between the dominant male, and they'll see those cubs a lot more as a threat than as a cub of their own. So once they cross that sort of threshold and a bit of mane starts to grow, then you find no longer do they interact too much with their cubs. It's not to say that they won't though, because there was a situation in Kenya, and I can't remember the name of the coalition. Are you up again? Oh, big stretch. Nope, I'm going to curl up into a ball. It's getting cold now. Yes, so you cold, little one. Yes, there we go. I'm not enjoying this weather, so he's curling up into a ball, much like Nsuku. There was a coalition in Kenya that was a male with his sons, I believe, that formed a coalition. So I think it does happen every now and then with bigger animals. I certainly haven't witnessed it myself with two big male lions, that is maybe a dad and a son stay together, but I have heard reports of it happening in other places. So they will interact with their cubs. I wonder if it won't fly away, but should we try, Seb? Yeah. It's just behind Seb here, so Seb's going to have to swivel the camera all the way around past me, but it seems as though it's a super relaxed Birchall's Kukul. Of course, now when we put the camera on it, it will fly away, as is the norm, but there it is, right there. So that's the Birchall's Kukul that was causing Thamba to sort of have a look around, and look at the beautiful red eye that it's got, those coppery colored wings and the bars over the tail. That is about as close as you're ever going to get to a Birchall's Kukul. We really don't see them that much, and certainly they tend to be quite flighty birds. The only one that we generally see a lot of is the one around Twin Dams, and I would imagine this is the same individual because we're not far from Twin Dams. But super nice to be able to see the detail in the feathers. Look at the long feet and toes of a passerine. Now passerines means tree perching basically, and they will have the toes going forward and then the one toe going back. So 3 forward, 1 back, and that allows them to sit on branches, and then nice big long tail coming off from there with the barring on the back of the tail. Beautiful bird, isn't it? Always looks so serious, but it is a beautiful bird. That is seriously the best views I've had of a Birchall's Kukul in a long time. Right, now it sounds like Nsuku is not wanting to be undone by a feathered friend, and so he's now lifted his head and is looking ever so beautiful in some golden afternoon light.
It's it's the most gorgeous sighting. We sat with him while he got his beauty rest, and it has all absolutely. Let me quickly give a shot. Yours, it's very nice backlighting if you want to come and park next to me. Oh, no ways. I'm just having a good laugh. Obviously, yours is one of the landowners in Buffelshoek, which is really amazing, and he takes the most incredible pictures. And he said this after, I said to him, why don't you come and park next to me, because this backlighting is just absolutely stunning. We know lions are lovely golden color, but to get them in the golden light with the sky on fire as it is at the moment is not something that's a common occurrence. And he said, can you believe it, I don't have my camera with me this afternoon. Murphy's Law. But isn't that beautiful? And I hope that you're all taking as many screenshots as you can Hashtag Safari Live. We love to see them, keep them, because in a year's time I may call upon these pictures. That is amazing. That really, really, really doesn't get better than that. Okay, how's that? Chantal is saying in my ear, wow, 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 I love my job. I love it even more. Well, I think we all love it the same, actually. That's incredible. This is really, really, really something so special. So incredible.